The little girl's cry cut through the late afternoon quiet of Maplewood Park like a knife. It wasn't a tantrum. It was the raw, broken sound of a child who had run out of hope for the day. Sharp, choking sobs that made strangers turn their heads and then quickly look away, because no one wants to witness a heartbreak they can't fix. On the farthest bench, half hidden by the drooping branches of an old willow, sat Daniel Harper, 34 years old, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened, eyes bloodshot from another 12-hour shift. In his arms was 4-year-old Lily, face buried in his shoulder, tiny fists clutching his shirt as if letting go would make the world disappear. Her pink backpack lay abandoned on the ground, one strap torn. Her left shoe was missing. Her hair was matted with tears and playground sand. Daniel rocked her gently, whispering the same useless words he'd whispered for the last 20 minutes. "It's okay, baby. Daddy's here. We'll find your shoe. It's okay." But it wasn't okay. The daycare had closed 20 minutes ago. He was late, again. The sitter had quit last week. His boss had threatened to revisit his commitment level that morning. And now his daughter was sobbing because some bigger kid had pushed her off the slide, taken her shoe as a joke, and run off laughing while the other parents pretended not to see. Daniel felt the familiar weight settle on his chest, guilt, exhaustion, rage, loneliness, all braided together so tightly he could barely breathe. Lily's cries grew thinner, more desperate. "I want mommy," she whimpered. "Why can't mommy come?" Daniel closed his eyes. Mommy was 3 states away with a new husband and a new baby who answered to Daddy now. Mommy sent birthday cards and occasional child support, but she didn't come. He pressed his lips to Lily's hair. "I know, Peanut. I know." That was when the woman appeared. She didn't march over with purpose or hesitate like most people do when they see a father and daughter falling apart in public. She simply walked up, quiet as falling leaves, and sat on the far end of the bench. Mid-40s, maybe. Curly gray-streaked hair pulled into a low bun. A soft green cardigan despite the warm September evening. She carried a canvas tote and a half-finished knitting project poking out the top. She didn't speak at first. Just watched the ducks on the pond and let the silence stretch until it stopped feeling awkward and started feeling safe. Lily's sobs slowed to hiccups. She peeked out from Daniel's shoulder, curious about the stranger who wasn't staring. The woman turned her head and smiled, not the bright, artificial kind people give kids in grocery stores, but something smaller, warmer. Real. "She's beautiful," the woman said softly. Daniel managed a tired nod. "Thank you. Rough day?" He gave a short, humorless laugh. "Rough year." The woman nodded like she understood years could be rough too. She reached into her tote and pulled out a little packet of tissues, offering it across the space between them. Daniel took it gratefully. Lily snatched one and blew her nose with dramatic, wet honks that almost made Daniel smile. Almost. The woman studied Lily for a moment, then looked at Daniel. "May I?" she asked, opening her arms just slightly toward Lily. Every instinct screamed no, stranger danger, don't trust anyone, protect her, but something in the woman's eyes stilled him. They were the color of storm clouds right before rain, gentle and ancient and sad in a way that made him feel, for the first time in months, not alone. Lily, exhausted and trusting in the way only 4-year-olds can be, slid off Daniel's lap and toddled over. The woman lifted her easily, settling her on the bench between them like it was the most natural thing in the world. "There we go," the woman murmured, brushing Lily's tangled hair from her face. "My name's Ruth." "Woof," Lily said solemnly, because that was how she introduced herself these days. Ruth's eyes crinkled. "Hello, Woof. I'm Ruth. Very nice to meet you." Lily giggled once, a small sound, but it pierced Daniel straight through the heart. He hadn't heard her laugh in weeks. Ruth reached into her magical tote again and pulled out a tiny knitted octopus, purple with mismatched button eyes. "This is Octavia," she told Lily. "She's shy, but she gives the best hugs." Lily took the octopus carefully, as if it might break, then hugged it to her chest. Her remaining shoe kicked happily against the bench. Ruth looked at Daniel then, really looked at him. Not with pity. Just recognition. "You're doing a good job," she said quietly. He shook his head. "Doesn't feel like it. Feelings lie sometimes." He swallowed hard. Blinked fast. "I was late again." She waited alone at daycare. "Some kid bullied her and I wasn't here to stop it. She asked for her mom and I couldn't," his voice cracked. He stopped, ashamed. Ruth didn't offer platitudes. She just listened, same way she'd listened to the ducks and the wind and Lily's crying. When he was done, she nodded once. "My husband died 5 years ago," she said. "Cancer. We had 3 kids. Youngest was 6. She paused. "I was late a lot too. I yelled sometimes. I burned dinner. I forgot school plays. I cried in the car where they couldn't see." She looked at Lily, now braiding Octavia's tentacles. "But I was there. Every day. Even when I was terrible at it, I was there." That's what they remember. Daniel stared at her. "How do you know?" "Because they tell me. All the time. Remember when you fell asleep in the rocking chair holding me? Remember when you let us eat ice cream for dinner that one time?" They don't remember the perfect days. They remember the days we showed up. Lily yawned, leaned against Ruth's side. Ruth adjusted so the little girl fit perfectly under her arm. Daniel rubbed his face. "I'm so tired," he admitted, voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know how to keep doing this alone." Ruth was quiet for a long time. Then she said the words that would change everything. "Don't cry," she said gently. "You can borrow my time." He looked up, confused. "I'm retired," she said, smiling a little. "I have too much time now. The house is quiet. My kids are grown. I come to this park every day and knit and feed ducks and wish someone needed me for something small." She stroked Lily's hair. "Let me help. Not forever. Just, some days. Pick up from daycare. A home-cooked meal once a week. Someone to sit with her when you have to work late. You don't have to do this alone." Daniel opened his mouth, pride, fear, suspicion all rushing to the surface, but Ruth held up a hand. "I'm not a saint," she said. "I'm lonely. And this little one," she squeezed Lily gently, "deserves more than a daddy who's running on empty. Let me borrow some of your chaos. I miss it." Tears slipped down Daniel's cheeks before he could stop them. He didn't bother hiding them. Lily had fallen asleep against Ruth, clutching the purple octopus, her missing shoe long forgotten. That was the beginning. The weeks that followed felt like waking up after a long, dark sleep. Ruth showed up at daycare the very next Monday with a tin of homemade oatmeal raisin cookies and a note for the teacher, "Lily's honorary grandma picking up today." The teacher, who had started giving Daniel tight-lipped smiles of concern, nearly cried when she read it. Ruth was there on Wednesdays to take Lily to story time at the library while Daniel finished his shift. She taught Lily how to knit, badly, how to make paper boats, how to whistle with 2 fingers. She kept an extra car seat in her old Subaru and a drawer full of size 4T clothes, just in case. She never overstepped. Never asked for thanks. Just, showed up. And slowly, Daniel started breathing again. He laughed at Ruth's terrible puns. He ate real food instead of gas station burritos. He slept more than 4 hours a night. He found Lily's missing shoe under the slide 2 weeks later. Ruth had quietly searched every afternoon until she spotted the flash of pink. One Thursday evening in November, Daniel came home from work to find his tiny apartment warm and smelling of pot roast. Lily was at the kitchen table, tongue sticking out in concentration as she helped Ruth roll out pie crust. Flour everywhere. Christmas music playing softly. Ruth looked up and grinned. "Perfect timing," she said. "Lily says you like apple better than pumpkin, but she wants both, so we're making one of each." Daniel stood in the doorway, briefcase still in hand, and felt something crack open inside his chest, something that had been frozen solid for years. Lily ran to him, arms up. "Daddy! We saved you the burny edges because you like crunchy." He scooped her up, buried his face in her neck, and cried. Not polite tears. Ugly, relieved, healing tears. Ruth pretended not to notice, just kept rolling dough and humming along with Bing Crosby. Later, after Lily was asleep hugging both Octavia the octopus and the new knitted bunny Ruth had made her, Daniel and Ruth sat on the tiny balcony with mugs of tea. "I don't know how to thank you," he said. Ruth shrugged. "Don't. Just pay it forward someday when you've got extra time." He laughed, shaky. "Might be a while." "That's okay," she said. "I'm not going anywhere." Winter came. Ruth taught Lily to ice skate on the frozen pond. Daniel held his breath the entire time. She came to the daddy-daughter dance at preschool in a sparkly shawl and danced with Lily when Daniel's two left feet failed him. She sat with Daniel in the ER at 2 a.m. when Lily had croup, knitting in the corner while he paced. And somewhere along the way, Ruth stopped being the kind woman from the park and started being family. One evening in early spring, almost 7 months after that first park bench meeting, Daniel came home to find Ruth and Lily planting tulip bulbs in coffee cans on the balcony. Lily ran to him. "Daddy! Grandma Ruth says when they bloom it means we made it through the hard part." Daniel looked at Ruth, eyes wide. Ruth smiled softly, cheeks pink. "Well. She started calling me that a few weeks ago." I didn't correct her. Daniel crossed the balcony in 3 strides and hugged her so hard her feet left the ground. She laughed, startled, then hugged him back just as fiercely. That night, after Lily was asleep, Daniel sat on the couch with Ruth and said the words he'd been carrying for months. "You saved us." Ruth shook her head. "You were never drowning, Daniel. You were just swimming with weights on. I just cut a few loose." He took a deep breath. "Move in with us." She blinked. "The second bedroom, it's mostly storage anyway. You're here all the time. Lily needs you." He stopped, flushed. "We need you. Please." Ruth looked at him for a long moment, eyes shining. "Okay," she whispered. They told Lily the next morning over chocolate chip pancakes, Ruth's specialty now. Lily screamed loud enough to wake the neighbors, jumped into Ruth's arms, and refused to let go for a full 10 minutes. That summer, the tulips bloomed red and yellow and fierce, spilling over the balcony railing like laughter. And on the first day of kindergarten, when Lily clung to Daniel's leg crying because big school is scary, Ruth knelt down, smoothed her hair, and said, "Don't cry, sweetheart. You can borrow my brave. I have plenty." Lily sniffed, looked at her, and nodded. Daniel watched them walk into the school hand in hand, his daughter and the woman who had once been a stranger on a park bench, and felt, for the first time in years, like the world was gentle. Some people come into your life like thunderstorms. Some come like sunsets. Ruth came like the quiet space between heartbeats, the moment you realize you're still alive and someone is glad of it. She taught them that family isn't always the people you're born to. Sometimes it's the people who see you falling apart in a park and decide your broken pieces are worth picking up. Sometimes it's the woman who looks at a tired, failing father and a heartbroken little girl and says, softly, "Don't cry. You can borrow my time." And means it. Forever. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness still exists, that no one has to do this life completely alone, then please hit that like button. Share it with someone who might need to hear it today. And if you want more stories about real love, unexpected families, and the quiet miracles that happen on ordinary park benches, subscribe. Turn on notifications. Because the world is hard. But it's also full of Ruths. We just have to be brave enough to sit on the bench beside them.